Well, hello and welcome to a weather impact alert day. Just what you wanted to hear on a Monday, right? Well, it's been quite a day. And if you were up early this morning on Channel 13 News Sunrise or throughout the course of the day, you've noticed just how cold it is. It's one of those bitter but bright days. So the sun is out, but because we have this snowpack and a very cold breeze, places like the Country Club of Indianapolis experiencing a very cold day. Places like Greensburg, one of the school districts that has been affected by the weather today. In fact, we've had about 40 districts that are either on a 2-hour delay, that's what most of them are, or were closed, or were on e-learning, or on virtual learning. And I think with good reason, because as you've been hearing throughout the course of the day, no doubt on our newscast, perhaps on the Today Show, or just reading WTHR.com, we have had a spread of cold weather, not just here, but throughout 3/4 of the United States. This area, Minneapolis, Billings, Denver, has the best chance for the most extreme cold and possible records. In fact, the wind chill this morning when we were on Sunrise earlier today, the wind chill in Billings, North Dakota, was 48 below zero at one point. And this widespread below normal temperatures, the coldest air mass of the season, is pushing all the way south into central Florida, where there's a series of cold weather advisories. And speaking of that, we have one here, and that's because this cold weather that we're experiencing has just kicked off a number of alerts throughout the country. Of course, you can see that for yourself as we were showing you. But here in Indianapolis, one of the things that we've noticed is that cold air has chilled the wind to about 20 below zero at times earlier on this morning. Now, this afternoon, it won't feel that cold, but it will still feel bitter. And that's because of this northwesterly breeze. You know, we have a football game tonight. You knew that, right? The college football playoff championship. Notre Dame, Ohio State, and they will have a winter storm watch in Atlanta for tonight's game. I do not think that the game or the travel outside will be affected by that during that time period. And of course, it's warm in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but outside 25 degrees, which is really cold for Atlanta, but hey, go Irish anyway. Now, off to the south, I'm going to get to our weather in a moment, is a severe winter storm. This is unlike something that we've seen much of the past 10 or 15 years. Corpus Christi, Victoria, Texas, Houston, New Orleans, all the way into the area near Biloxi, Mississippi. Houston is expecting 6 inches of snow in some parts of that metro area. Now, for us, we're not expecting snow, but what we will have is the potential for extreme cold during the course of the day today from 10 a.m. This morning to 10 a.m. Wednesday. And again, these wind chills 15 to 25 below, daytime highs in the single digits both today and tomorrow. So in order to stay warm and safe, you really need to layer up, and I'll talk about that in a moment. In fact, we have sub-zero wind chills now, and the loose-fitting clothing that you wear, I would say if you've got a t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, maybe one of those pullovers, and then your coat along with hat and gloves, all of that stuff you really need in order to avoid frostbite. And frostbite certainly is possible in weather like this. Now, this big ridge of high pressure is our culprit, bringing down this cold air. That's why frostbite to exposed flesh is certainly possible today. In fact, in about 30 minutes, you can get frostbite on the tips of your fingers, your hands, your nose, your ears, or with a head like mine on the top of your head. So please be careful out there today. That's why we have this cold weather advisory. And also, we have the Arctic invasion that continues today. The upper level storm track, the polar flow of the jet stream, is well to our south. That's really unusual, even for January, for us to experience something like this for a couple of days. But the core of this cold air, with the coldest morning of the season so far, and we'll probably break that tomorrow, is still way up here north of the Hudson Bay area of Canada. And what happens, folks, is you've got this cold air, right? Then you have snowpack between here and the Arctic Circle. And there are no systems in between here and there. So we're really tapping into this chilly air, and will tomorrow too, with the widespread Arctic air mass remaining and going all the way into the northern Gulf of Mexico tomorrow. This is highly unusual. Now, it's not going to stay like this forever, but take a look at the low temperatures that we experienced this morning. It was 0 in Indy and Columbus and Frankfurt. It was 4 below 0 in Crawfordsville, and then 1 below from Zionsville to Anderson, from Muncie and Kokomo all the way down to Carmel. Even Bedford was down to 1 degree this morning. But the wind chills, again, were much colder than that earlier on. So let's take care of the past there, what we've done, and now let's look forward to the future, and that is a very cold day ahead. Our winds are out of the west today, 10 to 15 miles per hour. We're looking at a high temperature today of only 9, and remember that 36 for most of you is the average high, and the average low is 21. So our high today will be well below the average low for January. That's why we're so concerned about today. As we go into tomorrow, going to be even colder. 6 for a high in Indy, but Kokomo, you'll have a high of 2, perhaps 3 in Muncie, 9 in Columbus, 13 in Bedford. That, folks, is cold. And then we're going to see a change because the winds are going to be out of the south and the southwest. So Wednesday looks particularly good compared to today. Hey, we'll take 20, won't we? Compared to single digits, and that's what we're going to experience Wednesday. But as you'll see in just a moment, I'm going to show you the a long-range outlook, and it really does look pretty good. So let's show you the setup for today in our future track. Again, high pressure controlling our weather. You'll notice a little bit of snow in the mountains of West Virginia, and then that lake effect band coming out of Muskegon up to Grand Rapids. But all in all, this really looks to be a very good pattern in that we're not going to get major snow, because if we were to have these cold temperatures, which are brutal enough, and then the snow added to it, that really is a tough situation. But let me put future track in motion. So this is tomorrow. We'll start out our day with the clear sky. That's a blessing and a curse. The curse mainly is that we're going to experience very cold temperatures tomorrow, because what little heat we get today, and remember, we're only going to get up to 9, will go right up into the atmosphere. You'll also notice here Chicago, coming out of Milwaukee, all of Lake Michigan, and then the lake effect area around South Bend, Mishawaka, over towards Gary, Munster, Hammond. Those folks will be getting some snow, and I think that snow basically is going to move in during Wednesday in the afternoon and the evening, and there will be accumulating snow. But also notice that cutoff line just to the north of Indianapolis. So while some folks are going to be getting that snow, we certainly won't here. So let's again talk about the weather impact alert. That's in effect today, that's in effect tomorrow. And the reason for that is that we're going to experience these bitter cold temperatures, wind chills from -10 to -20 tomorrow. Again, that today, the high 9. Tomorrow, then, is kind of a different story. The wind will not be as strong, but because the skies will be totally clear in the early morning, we lose the heat. We get down to 3 below for an air temperature. That will be the coldest air temperature of the season thus far. And we just don't have any room to warm up, so we only get up to 6. Then we see the big change, and that change is really going to help us out, I think, because by the time we move into Wednesday, 20 degrees. It's still going to be cold in the morning at 4 below, but the winds come out of the south, so we'll get up to 20 on Wednesday. And then 30 degrees with not as cold on Thursday. We'll see a few flurries on Friday. Lindsay Monroe and I have been checking out these computer models today. At this point, I think it's just flurries. We're not looking for accumulating snow, but that will be the catalyst because the winds will come out of the southwest for a big change. So not as cold Saturday. We're looking for a high of 37 after a morning low of 20, and then 36 on Sunday. So it's going to be a while. We will get back to where we are. But again, the weather impact alert today and then tomorrow. And as the kids come home from school today, I know they're going to be cold, but at least hopefully they will be covered, and you prepared them with a hat and gloves, and you do the same thing as you head out the door today. Well, we want to remind you that we're updating our forecast throughout the day at WTHR on our newscasts, WTHR.com, where we've got a blog that will be updated throughout the day, and then all of our social media platforms, and of course, right at our new streaming service, 13 Plus. which has proven to be just a wonderful, wonderful avenue to get this weather information out. So, Weather Impact Alert Day today, Weather Impact Alert Day tomorrow. I'm Chuck Lofton. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay warm.